subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Synopsis. Chiba traveled to Hokage, came to the declining Senju clan, and took up the banner of revitalizing the clan alone. As an excellent socialist successor, Chiba decided to use Marxist theory to guide and change this war-torn ninja world. So Chiba started his propagation of ideas before Uchiha Itachi, the young patriarch, was led astray. Itachi, did you know that in Konoha there are 3 big mountains? Dark radicalism represented by roots deep in the earth. Hypocritical conservatism represented by shadows bathed in sunlight. And the bureaucratic formalism that wanders between the sun and the dark, indecisive and ineffective. Let's overthrow these 3 mountains together. Let's turn this Konoha upside down. Chapter 1, let's turn Konoha upside down. People in Senju team up with Uchiha to subvert Konoha. The breeze passed by, blowing the boy's silver-white long hair. As a descendant of Senju Tobarama, Senju Chiba has perfectly inherited the unparalleled handsome face of second Hokage. At this moment, he was sitting cross-legged on a boulder, holding a book in his hand, reading quietly, as if he had integrated into the environment. If you look carefully, you can see that the silver-white long hair is extraordinarily elegant, coupled with the cheeks like a little boy template. Even if he is not very old, he is already worthy of the word beautiful man. However, under the sleeveless martial arts attire, there are streamlined muscles that are completely incompatible with his age and face. At first glance, it seems that they do not match each other, which destroys the beauty, but in his own words, it is a kind of wild charm. At the same time, even if he was reading a book calmly, he could still feel the terrifying sharp aura released from him. Next to Chiba, sparks of metal clashed in the air. In an instant, the 6 kunai shot in 6 different directions and hit all the bullseyes that were hiding out of view. This is the advanced shuriken technique. By colliding with each other to change the trajectory of the kunai, it is possible to hit the target in the dead zone. Although this is the unique skill of the Uchiha clan. But in fact, there are only a handful of Uchiha masters who can really have this kind of technology. And who would have thought that Uchiha, who is currently using this technique, is only 6 years old? Looking at the piercing bullseye, the boy with the law pattern muttered to himself. The accuracy is enough, but the strength is a bit short. At this moment, he seemed to notice something, and then his eyes fell on Chiba, who was sitting beside him. At this moment, the decree lines on his face moved slightly, and his expression was extremely shocked. Chiba just sat there, holding his breath. Obviously, reading is very peaceful, but it makes the black-haired boy feel oppressed by facing primitive beasts. In Chiba's words, it's not just reading, it's also practicing. It's just that the way is different from others. A moment later, Chiba put down the book in his hand, and in an instant, the deer's sensitivity to the lion made the body of the boy with the law pattern slightly excited. Chiba-kun, you have become stronger again. He didn't understand why he could improve so fast by just sitting there quietly and reading. So fast that even Uchiha's strongest talent at the moment feels hopeless. So, Itachi, I have been telling you that there is no future for practicing shuriken. First of all, you need to have a mind. Thought is the most powerful weapon. Secondly, you need force. And physique is fundamental. Chiba is well aware of how the ninjas in the Hokage world have gone further and further on the road of pursuing peace. They failed to find the source of the peaceful conflict. At the same time, Chiba also knows that ninjas are mostly crispy skins with high offense and low defense, who can fight to the end in the 4th Ninja World War, which one is not a character with a lot of blood bars and blue bars. A battle between ninjas is a battle between chakras. All battles are not based on chakra, are just bragging. And only if your body is strong enough can your blood and blue bars be long enough. Uchiha Itachi cannot refute Chiba, because Chiba can always say something thought-provoking, but Uchiha Itachi can't refute it. At the same time, the two have played against each other countless times, and Chiba has never lost a single match. Uchiha Itachi still remembers the scene when the two first met. At that time, Chiba was still reading books. What book are you reading? Philosophy, fiction, history, travelogue, ferret? Actually, it's not limited to these. Itachi was puzzled and couldn't help asking, "What are you doing with these books?" Change the world. We're nerd. This is Itachi's first impression of Chiba. Then, they started their first duel. It's just that, facing his own shuriken, Chiba's shocking feeling of blowing him away with a single punch. It's outrageous. At this point, Uchiha Itachi is on the road of chasing Chiba, drifting away. Even though he was forced to learn the advanced shuriken, which few people in the clan knew, he still had no hope of defeating Chiba. And your weakness is your physique. Chiba smiled and looked at his best friend. At this moment, in front of him, there's a virtual picture that only he can see. Name, Uchiha Itachi weakness. Physique as a time traveler, Chiba has a pair of eyes that can see through flaws. This is his cheat. Hearing this, Uchiha Itachi, thoughtful at this moment, he didn't know what he thought of, and said, "Chiba-kun, can a strong body make life less fragile?" You say, what is the meaning of life? War and death are eternal and heavy topics. It takes maturity, and Uchiha Itachi has seen it firsthand on the battlefield. Stop sighing. Chiba put down the book in his hand, patted Itachi on the shoulder, and smiled. Aren't you tired of being sad all day long? Taking a mouthful of the meaning of life? Sullen all day. Is there? Itachi was embarrassed. Indeed, since seeing the fragility and cruelty of life on the battlefield, he has often sighed. But he didn't know what he was sighing about. Is life fragile? Or the delicate relationship between the village and Uchiha? Think like this. He couldn't stop sighing again. Here we go again. Chiba couldn't help shaking his head. There's so many sorrows and sorrows. How about finding a woman and falling in love? Hearing this, Itachi suddenly blushed. Chiba-kun, you're kidding me again. They're only 6 years old. What kind of love are you talking about? Chiba was stunned for a moment. Good guy. You blush a bubble teapot. Your Uchiha girlfriend will appear in a few days. Do you know it? Chiba-kun, what do you mean? What is a village and what is a shadow? Hearing this, Chiba was silent for a moment. Itachi glanced at Chiba, seemingly waiting for his answer. Itachi. Finally, Chiba spoke. Did you know? In this Konoha, there are 3 big mountains. Dark radicalism, represented by roots deep in the earth. Hypocritical conservatism, represented by shadows bathed in sunlight. And the bureaucratic formalism that wanders between the sun and the dark, indecisive and ineffective. Usually, some strange words come out of Chiba's mouth, which are thought-provoking. And that's why precocious Uchiha Itachi considers Chiba his best friend. Because of this, he enjoyed discussing things with Chiba, just like today at this moment. I don't seem to understand what Chiba-kun you mean. Itachi looked puzzled, a little puzzled. It's okay if you don't understand. However, I hope you can remember these. These 3 mountains make this Konoha, including you Uchiha clan and me, breathless. Itachi froze for a moment. What do these 3 mountains refer to? He has some signs, and he has traces of suppressing the Uchiha clan. But among them, why did Chiba himself be included? Chiba nodded, suddenly took out a scroll, threw it to Itachi, and said, "For you, you'll be enrolled tomorrow. This is an admission gift. Also, haven't you always wanted to know my last name? Now let me tell you." Chiba smiled, somewhat meaningfully, but Itachi was stunned when he heard this. Last name? That's Chiba's secret. Itachi once asked about it, but Chiba said that when the time comes, you will know. And now is that time? Thinking of this, Itachi slowly opened the scroll given by Chiba. The content in it shocked Itachi. It was a surname that he had only seen in the clan's books and had disappeared in the village at the same time. Senju clan bodybuilding method change at this moment. Chiba calmly stretched out his right hand towards Uchiha Itachi and said with a smile, "Okay, let's introduce myself again. Meet you for the first time, future Uchiha patriarch. My name is Senju Chiba, the future Senju patriarch. Let's overthrow Konoha's mountain together." Let's turn this Konoha upside down. Chapter 2, Did You Fool Uchiha Fugaku's Son? Mori no Senju. This is a family that was invincible in the Sengoku period, and the only one that can match it is the famous Uchiha. At the end of Sengoku's scramble for supremacy, Senju and Uchiha settled their differences, shook hands, and established a village together. In gratitude to the Uchiha clan, Senju Hashirama called the supreme leader of the village Hokage. In honor of the Senju clan, Uchiha Madara named the village Konoha. The name Senju Chiba comes from this. It is endowed with the meaning of thousands of leaves flying, and Chiba's parents hope that Chiba can become a leaf with flying leaves, grow with the village, and become a part of the village. But the reality is that Chiba was born with crime and curse. At the end of World War II, Chiba's parents died on the battlefield with the only remaining members of Senju's clan, making the surname Senju a history forever. Sacrifice on the battlefield is undoubtedly a symbol of honor and heroes for the older generation. But the fact is that there are rumors flying around about the Senju genocide due to the wrong decision of Chiba's parents. Therefore, when Chiba was born, it became the object of people's discussion after dinner and tea. Who would have thought that Senju, once the pinnacle of the ninja world, has now completely disappeared in the torrent of the times? Time is a scary thing. But in Chiba's view, Senju's disappearance cannot be completely attributed to time. When Senju chose to hide his surname and devote himself to thousands of leaves, this kind of result has already appeared. Someone might have expected this outcome, but the one who came up with the idea was Senju Hashirama, the god of ninjas. Chiba boy, do you know that tomorrow is the entrance ceremony? It's so late. Where did you go wild? At the gate of Senju's last remaining clan, an old man with gray hair and only one arm left was furious. Senjumaba, now the patriarch of Senju, is also the second uncle of Chiba, a very stubborn old man. At the beginning, when there were not many members of the Senju clan, they still obeyed Hokage's dispatch and sent the clan to the front line. He always believed that the death of Chiba's parents was caused by him. Therefore, on the second day after receiving the news, he rushed to the battlefield alone and finally returned with an arm missing. Chiba heard about Tsunade. His second grandfather, covered in blood, carried back a pile of corpses and piled them in front of the young Chiba, saying that he had avenged his parents. Although stubborn, but very bloody, it's a pity that his only bloodiness completely disappeared when facing the rumors in the village. It broke him, and the only Senju left. That night, he turned white all night and never cared about the world again and raised Chiba alone. Therefore, he looks like an old man, but he is actually not very old. He often has nightmares, and Chiba often hears him talking in his sleep. I'm sorry to my grandpa and grandpa, but I feel that the Senju clan fell under my own hands. Correct. His great-grandfather is Senju Hashirama, and his second grandfather is Senju Tobarama. Chiba's father is Yez's elder brother. In this way, Senju Tobarama is Chiba's great-great-grandfather, properly official fifth generation. At the same time, he sometimes laments his bad luck, because if Nawaki hadn't died, the Senju clan might not have fallen into his hands, and he wouldn't be so guilty. Second master, don't be angry, see what I brought you? Chiba grinned and pulled out a wine gourd out of nowhere. When the gourd plug was opened, a strong aroma of wine wafted out. Chiba Iri's beard is almost floating. Hey, your skills are getting better. Give me a taste. The second master took the wine gourd from Chiba's hand and just took a sip. Every time he saw this scene, Chiba felt a sore throat. After all, this is Urwotu brewed by Chiba according to his memories from his previous life. Those who can breathe a sigh of relief are all warriors. Name, Senju Maha weakness. Wine alcohol is Chiba's second uncle's weakness. It's just that this flaw is full of sadness, because he said the strong liquor hit his throat, and that was what made him feel alive. After drinking strong alcohol, Yez's face turned red. Taking advantage of this momentum, Chiba smiled and said, Second master, were you going to pass on the position of Senju patriarch to me? Patriarch. Second master glanced at Chiba. That look like looking at garbage is very disdainful. Has your hair grown? That's all you're thinking about. What are you panicking about? Sooner or later, this position will be yours. Yes, sooner or later. After all, there are only 3 characters who can really pronounce the surname Senju. The second master himself counts as 1, Chiba counts as 1, and Tsunade, who suffers from blood phobia due to the war, also counts as 1. So, in fact, the current Senju patriarch is the bear commander. I don't want to help you share the burden. Chiba smiled. There's always a kind of hypocrisy of being courteous for nothing. Second Lord, I know you feel guilty for the decline of the Senju clan. But things have already happened, and it's useless to think about them. You pass the throne to me, and I will revitalize the Senju clan. Hee hee. This remark is purely Chiba's farting. Of course, he was very pleased to hear these words. Rejuvenation? How do you revive? Of course, I'm following the example of my great-grandfather. Chiba spoke calmly. Hearing this, Second Master was stunned for a moment, and it took him a long time to react. Grandpa Senju Hashirama? How to imitate? Back then, my great-great-grandfather teamed up with Uchiha Madara to successfully complete the meeting and establish this Konoha. Now, I also want to join forces with Uchiha again and turn this Konoha upside down. Second Master's disdain was written all over his face. You are a 6-year-old kid. Teaming up with Uchiha? Do you think people take care of you? Just you. Join Uchiha? Chiba nodded. Of course. I have joined forces with a very important Uchiha. Come on, tell me which important Uchiha is so boring. Come and play this kind of game with you. Eri didn't take Chiba's words seriously at all. However, Chiba's next words caught him off guard. The future Uchiha Patriarch. Uchiha Itachi, FK. The second master was stupid at that time. Mouth crooked. You went on a horse to fool Uchiha Fugaku's son. I've said it all. That's not called fooling around. It's called joining forces. After 50 years, Senju and Uchiha are united again. The old man will beat you to death today. The second master jumped up instantly, raised his hand, and grabbed Chiba. However, when Chiba saw this, he immediately opened his eyes. Second master, don't be angry. I have to go to Tsunade's place. Chiba's words made the second master stunned for a moment, and then he spoke. You can't see her. She's meeting one of her classmates. Classmates? There are only 2 people who can be called classmates by Tsunade. One of them has gone out of the village because of the son of prophecy at this stage. So, the person Tsunade met was Orochimaru. Chapter 3 Lung June Orochimaru. Senju, a surname that Itachi has only seen in books. Senju and Uchiha teamed up to create Konoha, and that's all Itachi knew about Senju. And the appearance of Chiba now makes this surname full of mystery in Itachi's heart. What kind of family is Senju? At the same time, Chiba's last words were also imprinted in his heart. Let's turn Konoha upside down together. Quite an outrageous sentence. In Itachi's cognition, Konoha is a whole, and such a sentence does not feel that it runs counter to his thinking. If it were someone else, Itachi wouldn't bother with him at all. However, the person who said this sentence was his best friend. Although Chiba had a smile on his face when he said this. However, the weight contained in the words can only be understood by him as a best friend. Itachi sees this as an invitation from Chiba. However, Chiba left without waiting for Itachi's answer. Chiba-kun, are you waiting for my thoughts and answers? Obviously. This is not a problem that today's young ferrets can solve. Shaking his head, Itachi didn't think about it, but instead took out the enrollment gift Chiba gave him. Senju clan bodybuilding method change. As for why there is a word change, Itachi didn't go into it. However, after opening the scroll, the method of recording in it really opened his eyes. It records a chakra running route that is completely different from their Uchiha family. Through this special route, while extracting chakra, use this part of chakra to feed the cells of the whole body in turn, and then guide the inner vitality of the cells to achieve the purpose of bodybuilding. The operation route of chakra, each family has its own characteristics. Generally, no changes are made. What's more, the Uchiha family owns the blood succession limit of Sharingan, and its chakra operation route is mainly for the eyes, which is different from others. However, Itachi didn't hesitate. Instead, start extracting and running chakra directly according to the method recorded on the scroll. He chooses to trust Chiba. Soon, with the operation of chakra, the cells of Itachi's whole body began to be nourished by chakra. His breathing was very calm, but he had a different kind of momentum, which was exactly the same as Chiba during the day. After a while, his body began to become hot, and then a vigorous vitality surged out of his body. What kind of power? Itachi never knew that there was such a vitality hidden in his body. Not to mention this side, within the Senju tribe, Orochimaru, in Chiba's mind, has always been a dangerous element. However, in the current situation, Orochimaru is regarded by Chiba as a force that can be wooed. As the saying goes, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. In this timeline, there is no doubt that Orochimaru and his teacher, Sarutobi Hiruzen, have turned against each other. Namake's Minato's brilliance in the third battle and Orochimaru's obsession with life made the master and apprentice part ways without any communication. Want to revive the Senju clan in today's Konoha and even take back what belongs to Senju himself. Chiba knows that going it alone is definitely not enough. Because of this, Chiba pulls Uchiha Itachi on board before he's gone crooked. Of course, what matters is not Uchiha Itachi himself, but the Uchiha family behind him. A great man once said, "We must be good at developing progressive forces and striving for intermediate forces." There is no doubt that Uchiha is the progressive force, while Orochimaru is in the neutral position. Chiba, you're here. However, it's not a coincidence that you came here. Master Orochimaru came just now, and he was discussing something with Master Tsunade. At this moment, Chiba came to Tsunade's door, and at the closed door, Shizune, a disciple of Tsunade, is waiting silently. In this regard, Chiba is not surprised. "It's okay, Sister Shizune, I'll just wait." As he spoke, he walked aside, found a quiet place, sat down cross-legged, and at the same time, took out a scroll. Senju Clan Bodybuilding Method Change 2.0. At the age of 3, Chiba discovered that he had the ability to see through flaws. If the flaws can be seen through, they can be eliminated. Eliminating flaws can bring about evolution. However, in order to eliminate the loopholes, Chiba must have the corresponding knowledge and ability. Therefore, for knowledge, Chiba seems to be thirsty for knowledge. So, when she was 3 years old, Chiba became her apprentice under Tsunade, where she learned systematic medical knowledge. At the same time, Chiba's learning of knowledge is not limited to ninjas. Politics, economy, culture, military affairs, history, travelogues, but Chiba has the courage to absorb all aspects that can be involved. Chiba has always believed that there's an ideological problem in this ninja world. He understands the desire of the ninja masters for peace, but their solution to peace seems primitive and ridiculous. The course of history cannot be changed. Chiba believes that given enough time, peace issues can be resolved. However, the process of history can be accelerated. In Chiba's original world, many great people appeared. They searched for many paths and made many efforts for peace, freedom, and equality. In the end, a distinctive path was blazed. It is a pity that such a great man has not yet appeared in the ninja world, and Chiba is willing to be such a great man. Senju clan exercise method changed. It is obtained from Chiba's improvement of the cultivation method in the clan. If members of the Senju clan practice this exercise method, it will stimulate the blood of the Senju clan and then return to the ancestors and obtain the body of fairy. Now Chiba's body is already developing in the direction of sage body, which is why Itachi feels desperate to chase Chiba. If people who are not members of the Senju family practice, although they cannot obtain the body of a fairy, they can also improve their physical fitness very quickly, thereby multiplying chakra. Bring it on! Chiba began to run the chakra in its own body, following its special route, and feeding back its own cells. While feeding back, chakra will also be used to temper the cells to make the self-generated cells fully active. This is the content of body forging 1.0, and 2.0 adds a special breathing method on this basis. At this moment, Chiba uses a special breathing method to breathe in and out, and a vigorous vitality blooms in Chiba's body. In fact, this special breathing method is to attract natural energy, strengthen the body to the maximum extent, and cultivate affinity with natural energy. It is laying the foundation for the future sage mode. At this moment, Chiba feels comfortable all over his body, and there's a mysterious energy as he runs the chakra swimming in his body. It is warm and very comfortable. Chiba knows that this is natural energy. At this moment, he clearly felt that he was evolving, and his physique was strengthening very quickly. Later, the joints vibrated like gold and stone, and the viscera roared like thunder after thunder. Beside, Shizune, who is Chiba's senior sister, was dumbfounded when she saw such a big movement. "What is this doing? Chiba, are you all right?" Seeing this, Shizune couldn't help feeling a little worried and wanted to go up to check the situation. However, just as she was about to step forward, a hand was calmly placed on her shoulder. "He is practicing. Don't disturb him." The voice was a little cold, but with strong interest. Shizune turned his head and saw Konoha Sannin calmly standing behind him and staring at Chiba. That is, Lung Jun Orochimaru. Chapter 4 Advanced Hunters often appear in the form of prey. The timing of Orochimaru's defection is unclear, but certainly not now. As far as Chiba knows, Orochimaru and Namake's Minato also competed in 4th Hokage. However, it is clear that he failed. I don't know whether it's the disheartening of my teacher who abandoned me, or I'm really used to life and death. After failing to compete for Hokage, Orochimaru started research and got closer and closer to Danzo. Who would have thought that this terribly cold-looking man in front of him would also want to be Konoha's Hokage? Master Orochimaru. The appearance of Orochimaru startled Shizune. Although he is also a disciple of Tsunade, one of the Konoha trio, facing Orochimaru, Shizune still has an inexplicable pressure. Orochimaru's eyes were cold, an indifference that ignored life. "It's a wonderful way to practice. I watched Chiba for a long time," Orochimaru commented. There was a hint of wildness and danger in the eyes. The sudden mention of Chiba made Shizune swallow and speak. "By the way, Master Orochimaru, this is the first time you've seen Chiba. He's also Master Tsunade's disciple. However, he is much better than me. At only 6 years old, I have almost mastered all the medical knowledge taught by Master Tsunade. Master Tsunade said he is more talented than Master Jiraiya's disciple." Disciple of Jiraiya. That's Namake's Minato. It is also the man who made Orochimaru never have a relationship with Hokage. If it were someone else, I would be moved when I heard the person who squeezed out my Hokage position. However, Orochimaru was calm from beginning to end, because he knew that Namake's Minato's ability to squeeze himself had nothing to do with him, and it was Sarutobi Hiruzen who made the final decision. After a while, Orochimaru looked at Shizune and smiled. "Enko asked me to say hello to you." Orochimaru's sudden opening made Shizune feel a little overwhelmed and said hastily, "Excuse me, Lord Orochimaru. Please take me to say hello to Enko too." Enko, a disciple of Orochimaru. 3rd Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen stuffed to Orochimaru's disciple. It's actually a tranquilizer given to Orochimaru by the 3rd generation after he abandoned him. The best signal for Sarutobi Hiruzen to support Namake's Minato is to let him go to the battlefield and win the battle. And Orochimaru being frozen in the war is a sign of missing Hokage. As for Enko, it was just that Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to give Orochimaru something to do. Although Orochimaru has always thought that becoming a Gaijinin is a waste of time. However, in order to make himself look busy, he readily accepted this outrageous arrangement. Now that Orochimaru has lost interest in Hokage, he has other, higher pursuits. He licked his lips playfully. Orochimaru turned and left calmly. Seeing this, Shizune showed some regret. "Such a pity. What's the pity?" Chiba stopped practicing and came to Shizune, who was talking to himself. "You are so good. Master Orochimaru can't look at you." Hearing this, Chiba froze for a moment. "Sister Shizune, what does it mean that you turn your elbow outward?" Because Tsunade-sama often said that Jiraiya-sama boasted about his apprentice. So, I often mentioned that when I saw Jiraiya-sama in the future, I would use you to compare Jiraiya-sama's apprentice. Jiraiya's apprentice? Namake's Minato? I wanted to try it in front of Lord Orochimaru, but he didn't seem to be interested in you at all. You are wrong. Chiba spoke calmly. Shizen glanced at Chiba, then sighed. I know I was wrong. That's Lord Orochimaru after all. I shouldn't have thought that way. No, you're wrong elsewhere. Shizen was a little sluggish. He failed to see the meaning in Orochimaru's eyes. As a qualified hunter, he will not show that he is eyeing the prey in front of others. And the only one who can see through the hunter's eyes is another hunter. At this moment, Chiba calmly watched the back of Orochimaru leaving. The flaws were revealed in an instant. Name: Orochimaru weaknesses: illusion, paranoia, and curiosity. Curiosity is not a weakness for scientists. However, in Chiba's eyes, this is Orochimaru's biggest flaw. If you want to win over Orochimaru, the middle force, you take the initiative to approach him, which often backfires. It is the best way for him to arouse his interest himself. Advanced hunters often appear as prey. Orochimaru may be the real target. Without talking to Shizen much, Chiba pushed the door open, ready to meet Tsunade. Tsunade, entering the door, Chiba has not finished speaking. A sharp gaze came directly. The corner of Chiba's mouth twitched, and then changed his words. Tsunade-sensei. Hearing Chiba's change of words, Tsunade blushed and continued to lie down. The house smelled of wine. Obviously, Tsunade was drunk. You're drinking again. Chiba shook his head and set his eyes on Tsunade. Name: Senju Tsunade. Weakness: blood. The death of his younger brother and lover dealt an unprecedented blow to Tsunade. This made her Sannin suffer from hemophobia. The decline of the Senju clan made her very disappointed with the village and Hokage. If it hadn't been for seeing the talent of Chiba, Tsunade would have left the village long ago and left this place of right and wrong. You are quite lenient. Didn't you make this wine? Tsunade's words made Chiba a little speechless. He made it for his second master, but Tsunade gave it all to Huahua. If you have something to say, don't come to me if you have nothing to do. I have nothing to teach you here. Tsunade waved his hand, telling Chiba not to bother him. In reality, Tsunade really has nothing to teach Chiba. From the age of 3, Tsunade witnessed Chiba's talent. Chiba has acquired all the systematic medical knowledge and can often draw inferences from one instance, perfect many theories, and truly achieve the goal of being better than blue. Tsunade thinks she is a genius, but compared to Chiba, she often feels like a pig. I want to be the patriarch of the Senju clan. I need your support. Chiba didn't chat with Tsunade either and got straight to the point. This made Tsunade sober 7 points. Why? Hearing this, Chiba raised his head and calmly looked at Tsunade, who had already been disheartened. To revive the Senju clan. To get back what's our own. At the same time, to change the world. Chapter 5: Senju, the decline of the times. After hearing Chiba's words, Tsunade sobered up quite a bit. Looking at the young Chiba, she thought of herself. Positive and full of ambition. But looking back now, all that remains is youth and ignorance. Change the world? It is not easy to maintain oneself without being assimilated by the world. How do you want to revive? What do you want to get back? All. One sentence, 2 words, has a different kind of ambition. Hearing this, Tsunade suddenly smiled. Our Senju family didn't expect there to be a bloody little guy left. I support you. However, the patriarch of the Senju clan, no one gave it to you. You have to make a name for yourself. If you can make the name Senju remembered again, then you are the patriarch of the Senju clan. Hearing this, Chiba couldn't help but looked at Tsunade, and said, "Really support me?" Hearing this, Tsunade was puzzled instead. What? You don't want to? That's not true. Chiba smiled. It's just that you have to be my backstage, and you have to take care of me when you have something to do. Hearing this, Tsunade's eyes widened, looking like he was going to eat people. Are you underestimating me, or overestimating yourself? What can you do? It's not that Tsunade looks down on Chiba, But Konoha's water is too deep. Chiba's talent is beyond doubt. She feels completely above Namake's Minato. However, in Konoha, you have to pass Sarutobi Hiruzen first. For example, I am about to enter the ninja school, which is a hurdle. Now, don't look at the Chiba family. One Senju family. Can you remember your last name after graduation? At that time, everyone will be a part of Konoha, burning youth and illuminating the village. So, just how big of a deal can Chiba do? No. Tsunade immediately rubbed his forehead. When she thought of Konoha's senior management, she felt a pain in her head. At this moment, looking at Tsunade's innocent face, Chiba is considering whether to tell her that he is going to join hands with Uchiha to make trouble, and to add Orochimaru, who was just attracted to him. Thinking of the second uncle's reaction just now, Chiba sighed and let it go. Okay, that's what you said. Then I can do it boldly. At this moment, seeing Chiba's uneasy expression, Tsunade's face is full of resentment. Immediately rushed over and grabbed Chiba and stretched out his hands to pinch his cheeks. Don't think you can do whatever you want because you are cute. Wait a few more years, and you will know the dangers of the human heart. Saying that, Tsunade sneered, hugged Chiba in his arms suddenly, and rubbed Chiba's head hard. Thicken his hair and give it a flick. Get out. Nonsense. Scumbag. Chiba left a word viciously and immediately got wet. Seeing this, Tsunade was not angry but smiled. Hee brat. It's a bit like Nawaki. Young, aggressive, and full of blood. This is not a bad thing, but the reality is far darker and crueler than imagined. The next day, in the Uchiha family's clan, there are the most beautiful sakura flowers in the whole Konoha. However, in the season when the sakura flowers are in full bloom, few people in the Uchiha family come to appreciate them. During the period of war, Uchiha, as the largest family in Konoha, inevitably went to the forefront of the war. But at this moment, Uchiha Fugaku, the captain of the Konoha Guard and the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, appeared at home for the first time. Itachi, after all, is his son and the future of the future Uchiha clan. So, on the morning of his entrance, Fugaku dropped everything and came to him. It turned out that this was a pre-enrollment education. However, the current atmosphere is a bit heavy. Itachi, are you listening to me? Early in the morning, Fugaku noticed something unusual about Itachi. A majestic vitality gushed out continuously from Itachi's body. Fugaku almost didn't recognize his son, so he immediately checked Itachi with Sharingan and discovered his little secret. That is different from the way the chakra of the Uchiha family works. Moreover, it guided a majestic vitality. But Itachi, on the other hand, kept silent about the source of this thing. Itachi knelt quietly in front of his father, facing the majesty of his father. Itachi has only two characters from beginning to end. Friend. Maybe it's trying to keep a friend's secret. Or you want to continue your friendship with a friend. Even for his own father, Itachi can only say so much. I know my son's attachment. Fugaku didn't intend to ask further. At least it's not a bad thing if my son has something he can guard. Okay, this matter, stop here. That friend of yours, you can invite him to your house next time. The things he gave you are very precious. You must thank them well. Although this kind of chakra operation method is not suitable for their Uchiha clan, it is indeed invaluable. Hearing this, Itachi raised his head, a happy smile appeared on his face, and then nodded. Good. Seeing his son like this, Fugaku couldn't help heaving a sigh of relief and said educationally, "Today is the day you enter school. Remember, enrolling means you step out of Uchiha. But on the outside, you always represent the Uchiha clan. Enrolling in school means accepting the education of the village. And today's Hokage is Sarutobi Hiruzen. He didn't intend to stop this kind of education. Just don't let Itachi forget his roots and fundamentals." Yes, father, I know. After finishing speaking, a trace of doubt flashed in Itachi's eyes. Then he looked up at his father and asked, "Father, isn't Uchiha from Konoha?" "Why? You keep emphasizing that I represent Uchiha." Shouldn't I represent Konoha? When we Uchiha clan established Konoha, didn't we just want to form a whole? Horrified to have such a thought with his own son, Fugaku smiled and patted Itachi's head. and couldn't help but speak. The relationship between the village and us Uchiha is a bit complicated. You will know later. Also, Konoha was not established by our Uchiha family, but with another family. Hearing this, Itachi seemed to have caught something and couldn't help asking, "Which family is it?" Fugaka didn't bring it up immediately, but said as if sighing, "That's the decline of the times." A sigh, full of endless loneliness. From this sigh, Itachi felt a kind of loneliness at sunset. There's also a kind of helplessness and sadness. Senju, Uchiha villages. Itachi's curiosity about Senju was intensified by the answer he got from asking around. But when Itachi was confused, Fugako looked at his son calmly. "Senju has fallen. Next will be Uchiha. If it is too dazzling, it will show its sharpness in the end." Itachi, you remember, we Uchiha just do our Uchiha well. As for the matter of that family, don't go into it. Don't ask about their affairs. And don't say anything if you guessed it. Chapter 6. Excellent politicians. Failed. The streets of Konoha are destined to be very lively today. Chiba has always thought that the school is a place to preach and teach, rather than a ninja processing factory that trains and sends to the front line as it is now. It's a pity that war is the current environment, and you can't fight against the times. The annual ninja school entrance ceremony brings together children from the whole village who want to become ninjas. Even if it is Konoha's family business, if you want to become Konoha's ninja and get established, you have to pass this hurdle. And this hurdle is called Will of Fire. The entrance ceremony is very important for any kid who wants to become a ninja. However, considering the situation on the front line, Fugako felt that it was a bit inappropriate for him, the head of the Uchiha clan, to appear at the entrance ceremony at this time. After all, he didn't come to send his child off. Fortunately, Itachi has always been a peace of mind for him. On the lively Konoha street, Itachi saw Chiba, who was buying meatballs at a meatball shop in the distance. As his only close friend, the always calm Itachi had a smile on his face. "Mr. Chiba." Hearing Itachi's shout, Chiba was holding the balls in his hand and several skewers in his mouth, and waved in a hurry. "Itachi, this way." With Itachi's arrival, Chiba threw a bunch of meatballs to Itachi. "Come on, please, don't be shy. Eat more." Itachi was at a loss and couldn't even get it. "Chiba-kun, I already had breakfast." Hearing this, Chiba looked at Itachi instead. "Aren't you hungry?" "It seems I'm a little hungry." Itachi felt a little strange. He just had breakfast not long ago. "That's right." Chiba nodded without hesitation while eating the meatball. "After practicing the body training method I modified, it is like this. The body training effect is obvious, but it consumes a lot of energy. The disadvantage is that it is easy to get hungry. So, eat more sugar and replenish energy." Itachi was a little surprised and couldn't help but speak. "Mr. Chiba, how do you know that I have practiced the exercise method you gave me? How do I know? You and yesterday are completely two people. Don't you feel it yourself?" Chiba swallowed the ball in his mouth and gave Itachi a strange look. "The most important part of my exercise method is to activate cells and stimulate their vitality. So, in a short period of time, your physique, vitality, and even chakra will grow rapidly. Especially the previous few training sessions can maximize your original blood physique, and those with excellent family physique can even double the effect. Why don't you try extracting chakra?" Hearing this, the unsmiling Itachi couldn't help but grow his mouth into an O shape. The more he listened, the more he felt that Chiba's words were too outrageous. Physical vitality and even chakra can be doubled directly? Uchiha is not as good as Senju in terms of physique, but what is the foundation of Uchiha? Moreover, what Chiba didn't say is that Senju and Uchiha actually come from the same source. Even though one plays with the body and the other plays with the eyes, there are similarities. Hearing this, Itachi immediately extracted his own chakra. The next moment, he was dumbfounded. A steady stream of chakra emerging from his body. In just one night, the amount of chakra more than doubled. This. Itachi was speechless. No wonder he was surprised by his father's attitude in the morning. That's because the exercise Chiba gave himself is really precious. "Hey, how's it going?" "Awesome." Chiba put another ball into his mouth and patted Itachi on the shoulder. However, it actually has a side effect. Side effect. Itachi glanced at Chiba. That means the vitality is activated, and your physical growth will be much faster than that of ordinary people. Indeed, Chiba is about the same age as Itachi, but Chiba is a head taller than Itachi. At 6 years old, he just looks like he is 8 or 9 years old. After thinking for a while, Itachi was stunned, a little puzzled, etc. Isn't it a good thing to grow faster? How can I say it's a side effect? Why doesn't it count? Chiba smiled. Growing too fast, childhood is too short. I want to be a child for 2 more years. Look, my little boy face is so deceptive. After finishing speaking, Chiba ignored Itachi and walked towards the school while eating meatballs. Itachi thought about it and seemed to have no problem. So he also put a bunch of meatballs in his mouth and started to eat with a cheerful face. Few people know that meatballs are also Itachi's favorite. It's a pity. Who knew that the child who likes to eat sweets the most in the original book has suffered all his life, etc. Something is wrong. Nothing is right. Itachi suddenly thought of something. He remembered that Chiba seemed to be talking about my modified body training method just now. The forging method was modified by Chiba. War makes people grow. Those who have experienced the battlefield and those who have not experienced the battlefield have completely different consciousness. Even in the enrollment of freshmen, one can tell the difference at a glance. And Konoha disappeared in Senju. Uchiha is bound to be eye-catching. Especially Uchiha Itachi has always been the child of other people in other people's mouth. When he was only 5 years old, he went to the battlefield to see blood and learned great fireball at a glance. There are endless rumors about this. All in all, he's insanely good. Unlike Itachi, who is being watched, Chiba next to him is ignored. Even if he was noticed, he was attracted by his silver hair and handsome cheeks. Parents are attracted to Itachi, and little girls are attracted to Chiba. No matter how glorious the past was, it is nothing but a handful of lusts scattered on the ground. That's where Senju is right now. Very realistic, but also very sad. Suddenly, the crowd in the distance became a little restless. Chiba and Itachi followed the eyes of the crowd. Wearing a Hokage hat, the three on the hat is particularly eye-catching. Perhaps considering his own image in front of the children, he deliberately extinguished his pipe to make himself look more kind and kind. That his third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Countless children were excited. After all, that's Hokage, their dream goal. Excellent politician. Failed leader. A refined egoist. This is the evaluation given by Chiba. Chapter 7: The Method of Observing and Exploring the World. Materialist Dialectics. Where the leaves dance, so does the fire. The fire will continue to illuminate the village and cause new leaves to sprout. Will of fire is a belief worthy of praise. It is also Konoha's social awareness. It was born during the riotous Sengoku era, a time of war and ninjas whose average age was rarely over 20. Its appearance is contemporary. Because of the turmoil of the war, the next generation of ninjas often die prematurely. In order to protect the next generation, first Hokage, Senju Hashirama, joined hands with Uchiha to establish Konoha. This is the original intention of Will of Fire. Unfortunately, a belief, a social awareness, must be realistic. It needs to keep pace with the progress of the times and needs to satisfy the people along with the real needs. Only the social consciousness that conforms to the social existence of Konoha can correctly guide the people of Konoha to the correct historical path. When a belief cannot keep up with the times, it is lagging behind and will inevitably hold back history and have a positive reaction. So when I saw Sarutobi Hiruzen appearing in front of the children like a grandpa next door and preaching Will of Fire, Chiba will appear so indifferent, even a little nauseous, because, in his view, the belief that Senju Hashirama used to protect the next generation has become a tool used by Sarutobi Hiruzen to maintain his own rule. At the same time, while other children gathered around Hokage and accepted faith without thinking, Uchiha Itachi just stared blankly at his best friend. He was thinking back to what Chiba had said about the so-called Hokage. This is the biggest difference between Itachi and other children, because he can think and have his own thoughts. So, Chiba-kun, is this the Hokage in your mind? Chiba shook his head. No, this is Sarutobi Hiruzen. My personal evaluation of him. Itachi was silent for a while, not understanding why Chiba would come to such a conclusion. This kind of evaluation is not very good for the shadow of a village. Seemingly aware of Itachi's doubts, Chiba explained. To evaluate a character, we must look at it dialectically, not only see his negative side, but also not only see his positive side. And to be comprehensive, start from the people's point of view, the point of view of the class, and the point of view of the times. As Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen has maintained Konoha's continuous development. This is his good side. At the same time, it is also true that Konoha is declining day by day under his leadership. In my opinion, his fault is far greater than his merit. Since paying attention to the two-point theory of right and wrong, it is even more important to grasp the key point of the theory that wrong is greater than right, so as to achieve a dialectical unity of the two. Hearing this, Itachi was completely silent. It was a brand new theory he had never heard before, especially the people's point of view, the class point of view, and the point of view of the times. He often thinks about issues from the perspective of Hokage, how to protect the village. But Chiba never said that from the perspective of a movie, his first starting point is the people. Yes, that's right. Isn't a village made up of individual people? This moment, Itachi seems to have realized something and grasped something, but it is not so transparent. Mr. Chiba, what theory is this? The way to observe and explore the world. Materialist dialectics. Want to learn? I can teach you in private, but not now. Chiba patted Itachi on the shoulder. Now, you should pay attention to our Hokage. He is watching us. As Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen is in charge. Get rid of all unstable factors. Uchiha has always been his main focus. This may be a tradition handed down from second Hokage, or it may be his personal understanding. It's just that Senju and Uchiha, the two families who once joined hands to build the village, are coming together again. Although Senju has been destroyed, but first generation and second Hokage left a deep impression on Sarutobi Hiruzen. First generation, a ninja god who can suppress the entire ninja world with force. Second generation, a great Hokage whose near-death tests him. They all from Senju. This surname is already enough to scare people. And the fear of Uchiha Madara, only those who have lived through that generation know. That is the shadow of childhood. It's not that easy to get out. At this moment, with a smile on his face, he looked at Chiba and Itachi. Children of Uchiha, come to me. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved to Itachi. In an instant, the originally noisy environment suddenly became quiet. Countless pairs of eyes looked at Itachi. At this time, Chiba subconsciously patted Itachi on the back. Itachi, what's wrong? Do not be afraid. In a word, Itachi was confused. Fear? Myself, why are you afraid? And Chiba's next words made Itachi start to really pay attention and observe Sarutobi Hiruzen, Konoha's Hokage. Before we overthrow Konoha's mountain, we must bear its pressure. Coming in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Itachi saw his face so closely for the first time. The eyes are the windows of the soul. And when Itachi looked directly into Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes, but suddenly there was an inexplicable shudder. There was a kind smile on his face. However, at this moment, Itachi couldn't feel the slightest smile. He realized, this is a false mask. Itachi understood immediately. This is one of the big mountains of Konoha that Chiba, and he talked about. The hypocritical conservatism represented by the shadow bathed in the sun. Chapter 8. Sometimes you have to show your clumsiness to hide your clumsiness. Children of Uchiha. Sarutobi Hiruzen touched Itachi's head with a kind smile on his face. I went to the battlefield with my father at the age of 5. I have mastered Uchiha's fire style, ninjutsu, proficiently before entering school. In my opinion, the ninja school will be full of your deeds in the next few years. As an excellent Uchiha genius, You should be the strongest freshman in this class. Kill. This is the beginning of isolation. Do not suspect childhood jealousy, especially the direct compliments from Hokage, whom they long for. This is undoubtedly pushing Itachi as Uchiha to the opposite of ordinary people. Itachi, what do you think of the will of fire I just said? Sarutobi Hiruzen still had a smile on his face. However, the Itachi at the moment felt a little shuddering. He saw the hypocrisy of Sarutobi Hiruzen. It's a pity that he still doesn't have the ability to know what kind of face is under the mask. Itachi couldn't see through compliments with ulterior motives. However, perhaps it was Chiba's previous 3 words, "Don't be afraid," that gave Itachi great encouragement. At this moment, even if Sarutobi Hiruzen looked directly at him, Itachi's eyes did not escape. However, his answer was a bit too straightforward. "Thank you, Lord Third Generation, for your compliment. It's just that you may have miscalculated. The strongest freshman this year will not be me, but him." What a firepower transfer. Chiba laughed angrily, facing the eyes of countless children looking over in unison. He touched his nose helplessly, and seeing Chiba, everyone present was surprised. Chiba, a strange face. Why is he so respected by the genius son of the head of the Uchiha family? Silver hair, little boy face. Walking on the street can attract young ladies to look back. In addition to his outstanding appearance, Chiba, standing there, has a different kind of aura and aloofness because he is fundamentally different from these current admirers. Senju. Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Chiba. He found that the 2 important players in the future, Senju and Uchiha, seemed to go farther than he thought. For the relationship between himself and Itachi, Chiba doesn't intend to overdo it. After all, Konoha is full of Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyeliner. If you can't hide it, it's better to show it openly. After a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen found that he was looking at Chiba, and he actually dodged a little. Without him, picture, so similar. Silver hair, indifferent expression, along with appearance and temperament. Sarutobi Hiruzen feels that Chiba is almost carved out of the mold of second Hokage Senju Tobirama, as expected of the descendants of the teacher. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed inwardly. "It's Senju's child. Come to me." He didn't want the surname Senju to be put on the bright side again. But since it was mentioned, Sarutobi Hiruzen has nothing to fear. After all, the current Senju is so small that the possibility of turning waves is almost zero. The Senju family has always been the leader of Will of Fire. As a descendant of the Senju clan, I hope you can also be at the forefront and become the force to protect Konoha. Senju, an unfamiliar surname. None of the children present knew. However, some parents of ninja families can recall it. However, all the rumors that come to mind are the genocide caused by Senju's wrong decision-making. Therefore, many people looked at Chiba and reacted in their hearts. I see. He is the child of the one who caused Senju to be exterminated. So far, the purpose of Sarutobi Hiruzen has been achieved. He smiled and continued. I know that there were some bad remarks about this child's parents in the past, but I hope that the things of the previous generation will not be involved in the younger generation. Hokage, what a fraternity. Chiba is well aware of Sarutobi Hiruzen's trick. Just don't care. At the same time, although other words of Sarutobi Hiruzen can be regarded as fart, but the words of the leader of Will of Fire are really not just words. Chiba's parents, including his second grandfather, really did their best for this Konoha. It can be said that shed the last drop of blood. And Sarutobi Hiruzen took advantage of that too. There is a war, and Senju goes first. He doesn't even need to intervene too much, because he knew Senju himself would deliver. No matter how powerful a family is, it cannot withstand the consumption of war. So, Chiba took a step. Children of Senju, what do you want to say? Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and looked at Chiba, one big and one small, one tall and one short, forming a stark contrast. May I ask, 6 years ago, when my parents were criticized by the village and formed public opinion, why didn't you stand up? Are you wronged? Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled. Although it can get the approval of the genius Uchiha, it is a bit childish after all. Ordinary after-dinner tea talks? I don't think it's public opinion. We, Konoha, are a big family. Don't take each other's words to heart. It's just that adults know how to measure and tacitly understand it. But children of your age are different. So, at this moment, I need to stand up and make a statement. This is for your own good too. Classic. Dian Zhongdian. This is for your own good. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought his answer was brilliant. At least, in the eyes of others, very charismatic. It's just that he underestimated Chiba's perception of him. The entrance ceremony ended amidst a lot of noise. Itachi couldn't wait to come to Chiba's side. Chiba-kun, why did you stand up and ask that kind of question just now? Take Itachi's understanding of Chiba. Since he wants to overthrow Dashin, it is naturally impossible to startle the snake like this. To this, Chiba just smiled and flicked Itachi on the forehead. Itachi, you have to remember, we are only 6 years old now. The biggest characteristic of a 6-year-old child is that he expresses his emotions and anger on his face. A youthful appearance cannot conceal a mature mind. However, sometimes you can only hide your clumsiness if you miss it. Chapter 9 in school, there must be a character design. My name is Uchiha Itachi. Want to know what the meaning of life is? The short self-introduction stunned everyone present. The meaning of life. This is not a question that children of this age will discuss. Therefore, even in this so-called elite class, Itachi's self-introduction is no different from pretending. Babble. Therefore, the audience is full of voices. My name is Senju Chiba. I want to change the world, puff. It's different from Itachi's deep pretentiousness. Chiba's speak wild words is more in line with his 6-year-old status. And this laughter not only came from the audience, but also from Itachi, because Chiba told him before. In school, you have to put on a mask for yourself, a mask that fits the personality of the students. So, who is the most beautiful young lady in our class? Even if you know it's a human design. However, Itachi couldn't help but hold back his laughter when he heard such words from his familiar best friend. Even the ninja teacher next to him couldn't help but glance at Chiba. Ahem. Attention. This is introducing myself. What are you asking this for? Chiba smiled. Of course I want to find the most beautiful young lady to be my girlfriend. Very good. An arrogant and conceited persona has quietly stood up. But in the audience, accompanied by a sigh, everyone's eyes looked in 2 directions in unison. One is Yuzuki Shien, a spontaneous girl who can be seen as the embryo of a beauty even if she is a minor. The other is the gentle and elegant girl, Yuhong. At the same time, there were 2 more gazes aimed at Chiba. One is Sarutobi Asuma, the son of Hokage, who is not happy to see anyone before he find his own. The other is the true protagonist of Shippuden Moonlight Hate, who always seems to be overindulgent. Thanks to the affirmation of being Hokage, the strongest freshman, Chiba and Itachi came directly to the elite class of the upper grades, but they didn't expect to run into acquaintances. Okay, that's all for the self-introduction. You 2 go down first. Teacher Chnin, who was teaching the class, only felt a little headache when he saw this scene. One is the prince of the Uchiha family, and the other is the only remaining seedling of Senju. After a famous family, I can't afford to provoke. I can't afford to provoke. Come to your seat and look through your textbook. History of Konoha Hokage. The first part of the opening chapter, the strongest Hokage. 3rd generation Sarutobi Hiruzen. Chiba couldn't help giving a thumbs up. Sure. Sharp. The lessons of ninja school theory are not complicated, and Chiba has already learned many things from Tsunade. Unlike other classes, elite class is more about actual combat. Today is one-on-one combat training. Since Chiba and Itachi are newcomers, so Teacher Chnin hasn't finished speaking yet. A person jumped out suddenly and snorted coldly. Teacher, I'll fight him. Glancing at the person who came, Teacher Chunin felt that his head was getting bigger. Asuma, I haven't spoken yet. Hearing this, Asuma didn't care. He didn't pay attention to the people around him at all. Instead, he took a look at Yuehong in the distance, and then shot his gaze at Chiba. My old man seems to value you very much. Dare to fight me? Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Asuma is trying to stand up for Kurenai Yuhi, just because of Chiba's self-introduction. Immediately, there was a sound of sighing in the crowd, which made Yuehong very embarrassed. I want to fight him too. Besides Asuma, one more person jumped out. Six Seedling Moonlight Blast. Intentionally or not, he also glanced at Yuzuki Shien. Seeing this scene, Chiba smiled and couldn't help sighing. This is youth. After all, he is a teenager. It is normal to charge for love. After speaking, Chiba stepped forward and hooked his fingers towards the two of them. Stop wasting time. You guys, let's go together. What? Asuma, Moonlight Hate, other students present, and even teacher Chnin couldn't help but look surprised. I almost thought I heard wrong. Chiba wants to fight too? How can this be? First of all, the two are much older than Chiba. Furthermore, the Moonlight Blast sword technique is already excellent, and an Asuma is added. You know, Asuma is in the same class as Kakashi and Obito. In theory, it should be enough to graduate and enter the battlefield. It's just that Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't let him take the Chunin exam in order to protect Asuma, so he stayed in the school. Chiba, what are you going to do? Don't mess around. Teacher Chunin glanced at Chiba. He doesn't want Chiba to have an accident. This is the descendant of Senju designated by Hokage, and if an accident happens in his class, he can't afford to go around. No mess, teacher. Just watch. That's right, teacher. Don't worry. I will keep it. Asuma waved his hand. It was hockey. Teacher Chunin opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but didn't speak. On one side is the son of Hokage. On the other side is the only seedling of Senju. He can't afford to mess with any of them. So, Moonlight Gale, what are you doing? Get down. He coldly scolded someone who seemed to have no background and was easy to bully. However, it doesn't matter. I'd allow them to play 2 against 1. I am invincible. They can do whatever they want. Chiba waved his hand, even more domineering than Asuma. Teacher Chunin is stupid. Take a look at the weasel in the distance. Prince of the Uchiha family. Why don't you persuade your companion? However, Uchiha Itachi just smirked beside him. You are laughing fart. There will be trouble if you fight later. Do it. The two sides directly ended the seal of opposition. At this time, the Itachi next to him stepped back and couldn't help but say something. Chiba could be gentle. In the distance, Asuma and Moonlight Hate were stunned when they heard these words. What does it mean to start lightly? Do you really think that the freshmen who just entered the school can beat them? Ridiculous. It's okay, it's over. Chiba smiled. In the distance, Asuma took out kunai, and Moonlight Hate drew out the sword. Then, boom, the chakra that soared into the sky poured down instantly, as if forming a substantial impact, directly pressing on Asuma and Moonlight Gale. In an instant, the two of them stopped moving. The kunai and the sword in his hand fell to the ground at the same time. Vulnerable. Can't even handle my chakra. In the distance, Teacher Chunin was dumbfounded. This massive amount of chakra suppressed him so much that he couldn't breathe. Very scary. This scene is like the revived second-generation, shocking Sasuke's snake team. This is Senju. Teacher Chunin couldn't help swallowing. Chapter 10, Konoha's Conservatism and Radicalism. Is this the so-called racial talent? As Konoha's Hokage, he supervises every move in the entire village. There is no doubt that Chiba and Itachi, who have just entered his eyeliner, are the focus of attention. However, what he didn't expect was that it was only one day of enrollment. Chiba made a big news. Hokage's son Sarutobi Asuma and Moonlight Hate fought Chiba in the classroom and lost in a 2-on-1 situation. Chiba didn't even make a move and just unleashed its massive amount of chakra, scaring the two of them to move. In an instant, a familiar figure appeared in Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind. Ms. Tobarama. It now appears that Chiba has not only inherited Senju Tobarama's looks, but also his talent. The Senju family is known for their physique, and the massive chakra is their symbol. First generation and second Hokage are monsters among them, and few people can resist the uncontrolled release of chakra. Hiruzen, it's been so many years. When did I see you so sentimental? At the door, Danzo suddenly appeared and found Sarutobi Hiruzen. In terms of news, He is no slower than Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. And for Senju and Uchiha, his relationship is not much less than Sarutobi Hiruzen, even more in some respects. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Danzo. He was not surprised by his arrival. Every time Konoha has a talent or trend, Danzo leans forward like a dog smelling of meat buns. It's Senju after all. Even if this family is wiped out, in the end, there will still be a character. Hearing this, Danzo smiled and said, Hiruzen, do you have any thoughts about him? Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Danzo. Young, impulsive, capable, arrogant. It fits my evaluation of this young child. Whether it's appearance or talent, he seems to be comparable to Tobirama Sensei. But he is not him after all. After all, I'm only 6 years old, so I haven't thought so much. So, he is nothing to worry about, but a usable talent. Danzo listened and just smiled. Hiruzen, I know about the entrance ceremony. He doesn't care much about your will of fire. What? Danzo, you care about him. Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to hear what Danzo meant and couldn't help but glance at him. Danzo didn't care about this. He just opened his mouth to remind him. Nobody cares about Senju. Just, Hiruzen, I want to remind you about the Senju clan. Your hands and mine are not clean. So, for Chiba, you have to be extra cautious. You don't need to remind me of this kind of thing. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. He always felt that there was something in Danzo's words today. In the next moment, Danzo changed the subject and spoke again. Same as Senju, Uchiha deserves to be Uchiha. Geniuses appear frequently. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. This is true. The current Uchiha Shursui has just shined on the battlefield, and a Uchiha Itachi immediately appeared in the clan here. It's just that the inherently evil Uchiha kid has the same essence. I always think that Mr. Tobirama's evaluation and policy on Uchiha are too wise. So, I want to bring Uchiha Itachi into the root cultivation to correct the evil and return to the right. Hiruzen, what do you think? I think you're a bubble teapot. Sarutobi Hiruzen almost rolled his eyes to the sky. Danzo, do you think yourself funny? That's Uchiha Fugaku's son, and they Uchiha still on the battlefield. Don't you think it's absurd for you to say that? Although Danzo said this seems a bit too deliberate. But what kind of pig brain can have such an idea? I have my own arrangements for Uchiha Itachi. From his eyes, I saw something different. That's the same look as Uchiha Kagami and Uchiha Shursui. Danzo scoffed at this. Hiruzen, using will of fire to brainwash people's hearts and make them work for you is outdated. The ignorant civilians will sacrifice blood because of will of fire, but the strong have their own arrogance, especially the top families like Senju and Uchiha. Your approach is too conservative. Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was solemn and serious, and he couldn't help but speak. Destroy emotions, become a mission machine that completely obeys your orders, and even use spell seals to control it. Do you think your approach is very clever? You're too aggressive, Danzo. Anyway, I don't allow you to have contact with Uchiha Itachi. And Sarutobi Hiruzen has a mind of his own too. Uchiha Itachi is the son of Fugaku, the future head of the Uchiha clan. Controlling Uchiha Itachi is equivalent to winning over the future Uchiha clan. Hiruzen, you will regret it. Uchiha, born evil, deserves no pity. Danzo's expression was a little hysterical, even very angry. Sarutobi Hiruzen also narrowed his eyes slightly, stood up abruptly, and patted the table. Danzo, find out who you are. I'm Hokage. Grass. Danzo, people are numb. How the hell did I know you were Hokage? But can you stop bringing this thing up every time you can't say lousy? Every time Sarutobi Hiruzen says that, it's like adding salt to Danzo's wounds. If it wasn't for the old man was a step slower, if I had been braver back then, perhaps the one sitting in Hokage's position at the moment would be Danzo. After all, Danzo couldn't say it. As Sarutobi Hiruzen said, he is Hokage, the leader of this Konoha. As Hokage's assistant, he can't do it for him. Snort. Hiruzen, you wait to regret it. After speaking, Danzo slammed the door and walked away. However, after going out, Danzo immediately changed his face. He sneered. Uchiha is still that Uchiha. It's just Senju. It's not the old Senju anymore. What he really wanted was never Uchiha Itachi. He knew that as the son of the Uchiha chief, that thing was out of his hands. Therefore, his goal from beginning to end is for the only seedling of Senju. Chapter 11: A bunch of love letters. It's too hard. Chiba-kun, seeing Asuma and Moonlight Hate, who hadn't recovered from the previous fright at this moment, Itachi couldn't help but said, "Is it heavy?" Chiba smiled. "I haven't done it yet. You might as well do it directly." Itachi has a deep understanding of Chiba's chakra suppression. Even when he faced Chiba's suppression for the first time, it took him a long time to recover. And it was precisely this that made Itachi's rapid progress. Itachi felt that if the psychological quality was not strong enough, being treated like this by Chiba would cast shadows on his childhood. How should I put it? I like to solve problems once and for all. Beat them once, there will be a second time. Very annoying. However, if you directly punish your heart, maybe you can get it done once and for all. Besides, this can be regarded as a training for them. If you carry it over, your heart will be much stronger. It's for his own good. Classic. Sarutobi Hiruzen's term for Chiba was used by Chiba on his son intact. Hearing this, Itachi couldn't help shrugging his shoulders, whispered to Chiba's ear, and couldn't help asking, "Mr. Chiba, is your character set too high? No matter how you look at it, this is too ostentatious. Moreover, this is no longer an ordinary arrogance." Hearing this, Chiba laughed. "Itachi, while you are young, indulge yourself. The youth of a ninja is very short. There are not so many intrigues. In the future, you may miss this kind of life." After finishing speaking, Chiba looked towards the distance, where was the direction of Yuehong. Then, just throw a wink. In an instant, Yuehong's face turned red. She hastily covered her chin and looked away. "Chiba, he even winked at me. Could it be that he really likes me?" The appearance of women has always been lethal to men, and vice versa. The silver-haired Chiba, in particular, is particularly lethal. Back on his seat in class, Chiba just opened the drawer. Bang! The densely packed envelopes spewed out directly. Seeing this scene, everyone in the class was dumbfounded. Itachi picked up one of the letters and looked at it, and then felt a little embarrassed. These are all love letters? So much. Itachi couldn't help opening his mouth. Looking at Chiba, who was almost swallowed by the love letter, he was speechless for a while. "Chiba, hello, I am. Can we be friends? I will wait for you in the grove after school. Let's finish school together. Chiba, can I have dinner with you? Let's go on a date, Chiba." Too much. Chiba didn't even have time to dismantle it. Although at the entrance ceremony, Chiba noticed that many little girls were giving him a sneak peek. However, this is too much. This is probably affecting the entire ninja school. In addition, just now Chiba strongly suppressed Asuma and Moonlight Hate, playing a cool game. This news shocked the whole school even more. At this moment, at some point, the window of the classroom was densely packed with girls, and they were looking at Chiba in the classroom. Seeing stars in their eyes, Chiba felt that if it wasn't for the classroom wall, these girls would rush to kiss him. Of course, there are many boys around, but their expressions are weird and full of resentment. It's a kind of jealousy. He's so popular. In the distance, seeing Yuehong, who was swallowed up by the love letter, didn't know why, and felt uncomfortable. "Why do I smell vinegar?" Beside, the purple-haired girl Yuzuki Shien said jokingly. Yuehong shook her head quickly. "Shien, how could it be? Don't talk nonsense. But your face is red. Is there? Yuehong looked nervous and quickly took out a small mirror to take a look, and sure enough, there was a touch of blush on her little face. "Look, you are embarrassed." "It's not embarrassing, it's hot. After all, we just had an actual combat training." Hearing this, Yuzuki Shien smiled, showing an expression that I understand, and patted her on the shoulder. "Ong, don't hide it. It's normal. Handsomeness that has been verified by almost all the girls in the school, plus the strength of Asuma, who can solve Asuma without using hands. Your heartbeat is normal." Are you embarrassed to say me? Didn't you just keep staring at Chiba? Hearing this, Yuzuki Shien suddenly burst into aura. That's right. I'm watching him because I want to challenge him. What? For a moment, Hong thought she had heard wrong. Challenge Chiba? She helped her forehead and felt a headache for her best friend, who was obviously beautiful but seemed to have muscles in her head. Although Hong really wanted to complain, but seeing her serious appearance, she couldn't say it out. And Shien seemed to have opened up the chatterbox and continued. The so-called ninja must challenge the strong. It's just that I'm not strong enough now. Now I'm going to challenge. I'm afraid I will end up with a Suma and Moonlight hate. So, wait a few days. The chakra pressure released by Chiba this time makes me feel like I have hit a bottleneck. As long as I break through the past, I can become stronger. Saying that, Yuzuki Shien's gaze fell directly on Chiba in the distance. Her eyes fixed. It was a gaze attracted by a strong man. Yua Hong shook her head. My best friend is hopeless. But, just like Yuzuki Shien said, handsome and powerful. Few girls at this age can resist this temptation. The last one that was so popular was Kakashi. Same handsome, same powerful. It's just that, unlike Chiba's so-called arrogance, Kakashi has an extra silence, and there's always a feeling that strangers should not enter. Compared with before, Chiba seems to be much more accessible, and there is also an indescribable domineering. Chapter 12, Terrible Sparring, The Ignorant Little White Snake. In just one day, Chiba became a huge celebrity in the entire ninja school. First of all, Lizzie Hokage's title of the strongest freshman was affirmed. Furthermore, the proof after defeating Hokage's son Sarutobi Asuma and Moonlight Gale with strength. Coupled with the handsome silver hair, Chiba was besieged by all the girls in the school when he was out of school. Chiba-kun, isn't your character design too clear? Itachi looked at the girls blocking the school gate and realized for the first time that his best friend was so popular. Itachi, you still don't understand. My character design is for Sarutobi Hiruzen. As for the attraction of these little girls, it has nothing to do with the persona, but with my face. Perhaps I could do like Kakashi and cover my face? Chiba stroked his chin, thought for a moment, then turned around and said, That's right, Itachi. How does it feel to be a student? It's more boring than expected. Itachi said, The theoretical guidance on ninjutsu and tactics is okay, but actual combat is like child's play. The expected answer. After all, Itachi was fighting Chiba originally, and the intensity was completely different. Chiba nodded. Okay, starting tomorrow, use that trick? Itachi nodded. Clear. That trick is naturally Shadow Clone. Originally, in the original book, Itachi used Shadow Clone to go to school within a few days of entering school, and now the two plan to implement it. After all the actual combat in the school meant little to them. Rather, some theoretical teachings about ninjutsu or chakra can complete and enrich Chiba's knowledge base. Then let's part ways. Chiba waved at Itachi. I'll go find you after I get rid of these young ladies. See you at the old place. Okay. Itachi nodded and soon left. Chiba tidied up a little, and when he was at the door of the classroom, he paused suddenly. His eyes moved slightly to the side, as if he had noticed something, and then he showed a smile. Sure enough, it's here. After speaking, he quickly closed the door and left quietly. After Chiba left, a pure white snake suddenly crawled out from a corner of the classroom, sticking out its tongue, looking deeply at the direction where Chiba disappeared. As a scientist, Orochimaru is curious about the unknown, and if he really focuses on something he is interested in, he will usually observe it first to see if it is worth researching. Obviously, Chiba's special way of practice in the Senju clan has attracted Orochimaru's attention. At this moment, he followed Chiba and Itachi to their usual practice place. The two tacitly agreed, and then began daily combat training. Itachi, let's be a little more serious this time. Itachi raised an eyebrow. What's wrong? Chiba, the actual combat at the ninja school makes my hands itchy. Itachi smiled and nodded. Good. After finishing speaking, Chiba took a step forward, and there was a shocking momentum all over his body in an instant, which made Itachi feel a strong sense of oppression. Then, boom, The berserk chakra soared into the sky in an instant, covering the land. The white snake's little snake was immediately dumbfounded. What the hell? Is this chakra? At the same time, Itachi's eyes, facing Chiba chakra's oppression, narrowed slightly, and the dark pupils instantly turned blood red. Sharingan! The little white snake was stunned. What happened to these two 6-year-olds? Are you crazy, or is the world crazy? Then, whoosh, under Itachi's sleeves, 10 shurikens flew out in an instant. The speed was astonishingly fast, and there was no movement forward at all. On the other hand, facing the shuriken attack, Chiba took out a short sword from nowhere and cut it out instantly. Senju-style swordsmanship. The little white snake was shocked. This sword technique belonged to second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, but it almost disappeared after the Senju family became small, and it was not expected to be learned by Chiba. However, the shock was yet to come. The knife, infused with ultimate power, directly pulled out a sword pressure in the void. The flying sword crushed the shuriken. Unbelievably, the shuriken that was knocked into the air shot at Itachi himself. However, he was already prepared, and he also fought back with a shuriken. Bang, 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 the shurikens collided with each other in the air. Their trajectories were changed, and they flew towards Chiba again at a different angle. Little snake. It's already hops. This is Uchiha's advanced shuriken technique. Even the genin of the Uchiha clan is rarely mastered, and I didn't expect to see it here. The next moment, Chiba stepped on his foot. In an instant, the ground was cracked, and the terrifying force raised an invisible shock wave, which bounced away the galloping kunai. Then, Chiba suddenly disappeared and rushed towards Itachi. What a speed! The little white snake exclaimed, its terrifying physique, even it is rare in life. Chiba slashed out with a sword and flew towards the void with the pressure of the sword. Itachi was dissatisfied without panic. Shanguyu's Sharingan narrowed his eyes slightly and released the pupil technique. Puff! Itachi was cut in half with a knife, but no blood flowed out. The severed body turned into crows all over the sky. Muji illusion. The terrible Sharingan can affect Chiba's so strong chakra. The little white snake became nervous. After all, these eyes were what he had always dreamed of. Troubled by the illusion, Chiba smiled. It doesn't work for me. The chakra all over the body instantly flowed, and the disturbed route returned again. Chiba's gaze fixed, and Itachi's real body was revealed. It's just that at this moment, he has completed the seal. Fire style, great fireball technique. Itachi took a deep breath, aimed at Chiba, and protruded. In an instant, the huge great fireball directly engulfed Chiba. The little white snake was dumbfounded. Careful, it's over. Great fireball with almost zero distance. He can't hide. However, Chiba had no intention of hiding. Facing the great fireball, he gathered chakra in his right fist and punched him instantly. Boom! The powerful fist pressure directly shattered great fireball. Facts prove that the fire style, which can even burn people to death in the 720th episode of Hokage, is really not good. Then, Chiba seized the opportunity and slashed out. The powerful sword pressure cut through the flames, and the impact sent Uchiha Itachi flying on the spot. The battle between the two is still going on, and the little white snake is already numb. This is their way of cultivation? What nonsense! Chapter 13, see through contradictions, analyze conflicts, and solve conflicts. Half an hour later, Itachi lay on the ground, panting heavily, unable to lift his hands. "Oh, Chiba-kun, let's call it a day. I can't do it." Hearing this, Chiba smiled and took back his knife. "It seems that your physique has strengthened a lot. This time, you can fight with me for so long." Unlike Itachi's near collapse, Chiba is still alive and well. However, you are getting more and more familiar with the use of Sharingan. It's just that with high-intensity use, your physique is not enough. Hearing this, Itachi took a deep breath, let out slowly, and said with a sigh, "Chiba-kun, you are right. The strength of the body is the foundation." He has been forced to use Sharingan by Chiba for a while, and this time, It is the longest time he has used Sharingan, and this is due to the fact that he has practiced the Senju exercise method given to him by Chiba, which has strengthened his own physique. Perhaps I should change my way of thinking about my practice. The Uchiha family plays with their eyes and is good at skills, but often neglects the practice of physique. Chiba let out a breath and laughed. I have been observing your Sharingan for a while, and I have some experience. Do you want me to help you improve your Sharingan cultivation method? Hearing this, Itachi looked horrified and couldn't help but sat up from the ground. Mr. Chiba, can you improve the practice method? Certainly. Chiba smiled. Didn't you notice that I added a reform word to your exercise method? That's my improved version. Of course, it's not limited to this. There are also versions 2.0 and 3.0. Suddenly, Itachi swallowed, and looking at his best friend at this moment was like looking at a monster. Chiba-kun, how did you manage to do this? Study. Chiba smiled. Reading is a good habit. Knowledge will not betray you. Let me tell you, thought is the most powerful force. Hearing this, Itachi was silent for a moment. He really didn't know what to say. Itachi has always felt that compared to his peers, he is more mature in thinking. However, compared with Chiba, it is too far behind, whether it is strength or thought. After fumbling around for a long time, Itachi took out a scroll. That is the way the Uchiha people usually practice Sharingan. After handing it over to Chiba without hesitation, Itachi suddenly thought of something and couldn't help asking. By the way, Chiba-kun, you keep saying that you want to change the world. Why? The world is not good enough, and nature needs to change. Chiba put away the scroll and spoke calmly. Itachi, this world is darker and crueler than you imagined, and there are too many filthy things in places you can't see. It can turn goodness into evil, evilness into madness, and finally, from madness to sorrow. Zhangwan is just the appearance of the world. Under the Zhangwan, there are deeper contradictions. In high-level games, the ones throwing blood are the ninjas below and the people. Hearing this, Itachi was stunned for a long time. It was the first time he heard Chiba say such words. Chiba-kun, have you experienced anything? Chiba shook his head. I don't, but my father's generation, my family has experienced it, and there are still many people in this world who are experiencing it. This has caused many people in this world to suffer losses that they shouldn't have experienced at a young age, causing inner distortions. If Chiba hadn't intervened, Uchiha Itachi, standing in front of him, would also be one of the sorrows. At the price of bearing eternal infamy, he killed and raised his own clan to maintain the deformed rule of the high level. The world and the people in this era always have to go crazy. Chiba-kun, are you overly negative? Perhaps it was the first time that the darkness of the wide-open world shocked Itachi a bit. Chiba smiled. Don't worry about me. I won't have any thoughts of the world doesn't love me, and I don't love the world, or it's not me, it's the world, and then go on the road of no return to destroy the world. Saying that, Chiba pointed to his head. Because I have my own mind. It can guide me to observe and change the world. Hearing this, Itachi thought for a while in silence. Chiba has his own mind to observe the world. What about himself? At this moment, Itachi even felt a little narrow-minded. He always thought that exploring the meaning of life and seeing the village through shadows had given his thoughts a certain height. However, from the present point of view, this so-called height is just the top one among the dwarves. Chiba is that giant. Can I also observe and change the world? Itachi glanced at Chiba. Chiba nodded. Sure, but first, you have to use the scientific method. The whole world is in the middle of contradictions. See through the contradictions, analyze the contradictions, and solve the contradictions. This is the fundamental method. As he spoke, Chiba suddenly patted Itachi on the shoulder lightly and said, for example, look, the so-called contradiction has already come. After Chiba finished saying this, even the little white snake who was watching the two from a distance couldn't help curling up. Somebody is coming, and not ordinary people. Chiba stood up and was ready to fight. Seeing this, Itachi also became nervous and couldn't help asking, Chiba-kun, Do you have any enemies? This is a village, 100 times more disgusting than the enemy. Chiba practices body exercises and is very close to natural energy, so his perception is extremely keen. At this moment, even if the other party deliberately hides, Chiba can easily perceive the other party. Who is it? Hearing this, Chiba smiled, looked back at Itachi, and said, "Such a radical method. What do you think?" In an instant, Itachi reacted. "That's another big mountain in Konoha that Chiba mentioned. Dark radicalism represented by roots, deep underground, chapter 14, Super Senju people." Chiba stood up, and the chakra all over his body began to boil, full of battle. "Itachi, let me show you another move of mine." While talking, Chiba raised his right hand, pressed his thumb against his chest and heart, and then grinned. "The other party seems to be waiting for me to place an order, but unfortunately, I like to take the initiative. Itachi, activate your Sharingan. Next, my speed and strength will be completely upgraded to a higher level. In the blink of an eye, I'll finish them off." Hearing this, Itachi's heart tightened. Then the pitch-black eyes swirled and turned into the scarlet one Tomo Sharingan. Immediately afterwards, the chakra in Chiba's body flowed into his eyes. Then, he was shocked. At this moment, the chakra in Chiba's body seemed to be solidified and indifferent. On the contrary, in his heart, it was as dazzling as the sun. "What is that?" Plop, plop. Like a drum beating, Chiba's heart beat powerfully. Then Chiba spoke. "There are some limitations in the human body. Chakra's doors all open the doors in the human body, and you can gain power beyond the limit in a short time. This is 8 inner gates. They're the door of opening, the door of rest, the door of life, the door of injury, the door of do, the door of seen, the door of surprise, and finally the door of death in the heart. Once the gate of death is opened, there is no doubt of death." Hearing this, Itachi's heart suddenly tightened, because at this moment, under his Sharingan, Chiba's chakra seems to be bursting in the heart. There, it is the direction of the gate of death. Chiba suddenly changed the subject. Opening the gate in the forward direction is to pour all the chakra liberated from the former 7th gate into the heart of the final gate of death, so as to gain powerful power. But in fact, the heart is the place with the strongest vitality in the human body, and the chakra contained in it is the treasure of the human body. Release the shackles of the heart. Release the ultimate chakra. This is the real 8 inner gates. Thump. At this moment, the beating of Chiba's heart resounded like an imperial engine. Even the little white snake curled up in the distance was shocked. What a horrible chakra! At least 10 times more than just now. How come? This phenomenon completely broke through the cognition of the little white snake. The chakra of the Senju family is already huge, but the tenfold increase in chakra in an instant is too exaggerated. Even if it is a family secret technique, it is impossible to achieve this level. Immediately afterwards, Chiba's huge chakra seemed to be overflowing, surrounding his body. The terrible air pressure rose into the sky, rippling Chiba's silver hair. Because the chakra overflowing from Chiba is yellow, Chiba's hair looks golden and gorgeous. At this moment, Itachi was dumbfounded. Chiba seems to have changed his posture. It looks a little sacred, but the sense of oppression is full. To this, Chiba just smiled. "How is it? Isn't it handsome? In order to create this appearance, I have worked hard." Hearing this, Itachi froze for a moment. Creating appearance? Yes, Super Saiyan. Unfortunately, this world doesn't have this concept. Now I can be called a Super Senju person. After speaking, Chiba stepped forward. Boom! In an instant, along with the sunken earth, a terrible storm blew up the earth-shattering dust. Itachi's pupils suddenly opened. Cannot see. Not even his Sharingan's powerful dynamic vision had just been able to pick up Chiba's movements. Too fast. What a speed. Chiba-kun, so, is this your strength? He knew that Chiba's physique was very strong, but this was too outrageous. He had practiced the body training method given by Chiba before, and his body became much stronger. He thought he could catch up with Chiba. In the end, they found that they were chasing further and further away. At this moment, in a corner of the distant forest, there are three ninjas wearing secret costumes. They have white animal face areas on their faces and sneak in there. From the looks of it, at least it was at the level of Jinin. One of them suddenly changed his face and gestured towards his companion. Senju Chiba is gone, lost the target. The expressions of the two changed slightly. Looking around, under the wind and sand all over the sky, only Itachi was left in place, and Chiba had indeed disappeared. They continued to communicate with each other. Try to find. Then, at this moment, the faces of two of them changed drastically, and before they had time to gesture, they exclaimed directly, "Careful!" The person who was reminded turned around and saw a palm directly pressing on his face. Then, Chiba grabbed the opponent's face and slammed it down on the ground. Boom! Accompanied by a shocking explosion, the man lost consciousness on the spot, and his other two companions immediately distanced themselves and retreated. The smoke cleared and Chiba was at the center. There seemed to be yellow chakra flames surging all over his body. On the ground, their companions were unconscious and unconscious. Then, Chiba looked at the two and smiled. "Are you spying on me? Who sent you?" "Let me guess, Danzo." Hearing this, the pupils of the two shrank slightly. "Senju Chiba, this is not surveillance. Master Danzo, please. I hope you go to see him." Sure enough, it was radicalism, and Chiba had only just emerged, and Danzo was already impatient. Chiba didn't answer, but just calmly hooked his fingers towards the two. "Let's go up together." Under this posture, I am in a slight excitement. Unlike usual, I will sit down and talk calmly. Hearing this, the two looked at each other, then nodded. "Do it." In an instant, the two rooted ninjas pulled out their ninja swords in unison and rushed towards Chiba. Seeing this scene, Chiba spread his hands and just smiled calmly. "Also, it's a rare opportunity to let me show my fist. You better be able to resist beating." Chapter 15. A guy with a sick mind. After a while, Chiba's heartbeat, like an imperial engine, slowly died down. The inhaling breath gradually calmed down Chiba's heart. Chakra, who was released outward, also slowly retracted, and Chiba withdrew from that excited state. He touched his heart subconsciously, still beating strongly. "My physical condition is very good. As expected, there is no problem." Chiba smiled, very satisfied with his revised 8 inner gates. In fact, Chiba did not get the real 8 inner gates cultivation method. It's just that when Tsunade was learning medical ninjutsu, Tsunade mentioned the door about the human body, and the former Senju Tobarama has studied this door and wants to create ninjutsu based on it. It's just that it failed in the end, and the ninjutsu failed to take shape and was finally sealed. However, Chiba knew that 8 inner gates had actually been circulated. It was obtained and practiced by Might Guy's father Might Dai. However, according to Senju Tobarama's original notes, it is impossible for Might Dai to learn 8 inner gates. It should be that Might Dai has his own adaptation of it. After all, it has gone through 20 years while practicing and groping. In the end, 8 inner gates was born. It's just that Might Dai's talent is really limited, and his understanding of the human body and ninjutsu is too superficial. After studying and practicing for a full 20 years, it also made 8 inner gates practice extremely difficult and dangerous, and he died immediately after opening the dead gate. And Chiba's 8 inner gates is based on Senju Tobarama's notes on the human body gates, self-created and adapted, choosing the correct order to open the gates. At this moment, see 3 root ninjas lying on the ground. Chiba opened their mouths casually. On the tongue, as expected, traces of the curse seal could be seen. This is the tongue eradication technique, a dreadful spell used by Danzo to manipulate people. Chiba silently memorized the formula of the curse seal. Maybe I can do some research. And in the distance, the little white snake who had witnessed the whole process of Chiba's battle didn't even dare to turn his head away. It's so frightening. He couldn't imagine how Chiba, a 6-year-old child, burst into such a terrifying chakra in an instant, and solve the three ninjas at the root of Danzo in the blink of an eye? This is the talent of the so-called Senju clan. At this moment, the little white snake is even doubting whether this Chiba is a descendant of Senju Tobirama or a descendant of Senju Hashirama. Too fierce. No one can know what this little white snake has experienced from the initial shock to bewildered and then to leave numbly. The impact on him was really too great. He is also a genius. At least that's how it looks to outsiders. But what was he doing when he was 6 years old? Extract chakra? He can't remember. It's just that it's already a matter of 10 years old that one can really start fighting. As for fights like Chiba and Itachi, I'm afraid it will be after Chunin. At this moment, in Orochimaru's research base, Anko, who is a disciple of Orochimaru, looked at his guide Chunin Orochimaru in a daze for a long time. Master Orochimaru? Although Orochimaru often thinks about a problem and will meditate. But what's with this self-doubting expression? Indeed, now the snake has begun to doubt life. I'm fine, Anko. Finally, he spoke. Leaving Anko behind, he entered the laboratory, opened the notebook, and wrote 2 names on it. Uchiha Itachi, Senju Chiba. After thinking for a moment, he crossed out Uchiha Itachi's name, leaving only Chiba's. Unknown, curious. Orochimaru felt as if he had found something that would excite him. The other side, Chiba is studying the mantra on the root ninja's tongue. At this time, there was a sound of clapping in the distance. Awesome, as expected of a descendant of the Senju clan. Chiba turned his head, glanced calmly, and then smiled. Danzo, you know me. It seems that I don't need to introduce myself. Chiba kicked casually, kicking the root ninja, defeated by him directly to his feet, and said, "Take care of your people." Seeing this scene, Danzo smiled. Sure enough, as Sarutobi Hiruzen said, he is young and arrogant, which is in line with his view of a 6-year-old child. Especially this child is gifted, thinks he is invincible, and does not take anyone seriously. As everyone knows, this kind of pure-hearted child is the best for brainwashing. All it takes is to plant a seed inadvertently in his mind, and it will germinate in no time. Senju Chiba, I came to you to join my roots. Danzo didn't gossip and got straight to the point. After graduating from the ninja school, you'll be assigned to guide Chunin. At that time, there are 2 paths. One is to become an ordinary ninja in Konoha, and the other is to join a special department. My route is one of the special departments. It's just that I don't need to wait until you graduate. I can let you join right now. After joining, I can provide you with my basic knowledge, ninjutsu, and various resources, and I will train you with all my strength. This condition is quite tempting. If it is an ordinary person, no one can withstand such sugar-coated shells. In this way, Danzo wins over the elite of all races, and this creates his roots. Pity, I am not interested. The roots you cultivated with all your heart were beaten to death by me with a few punches. Do you have a nerve to say you want to cultivate me? Hearing this, the corner of Danzo's mouth twitched. What a shame. What a brat. However, the more this is the case, the more Danzo feels that after getting Chiba, he is very controllable. Seeing that Chiba was about to leave, behind Danzo, a person suddenly appeared with his hands clasped together. The arm suddenly turned into a piece of wood, wrapping around Chiba directly. Wood style. Chiba froze for a moment, then glanced back at the ninja. Is the Yamato of the future? At this moment, seeing Chiba turn around, Danzo smiled. Now, are you interested? As a Senju clan, it's impossible for you not to know Wood style. He created the former ninja god, Senju Hashirama. Join me, and I can get you Wood style. Don't rush to answer. I'll give you time to think about it. The old man will wait for you, Arut. After finishing speaking, Danzo didn't give Chiba a chance to speak and took Yamato and the 3 root ninjas beaten by Chiba and walked away. Danzo seems to have a plan in mind. Chiba can still hear Danzo's haha laughter even from far away. I don't know what he is laughing at. Who's laughing? At this time, Itachi, who was in the original training ground, limped over. After finally regaining some strength, I was able to walk. Unfortunately, a good show was missed. A guy with a sick mind. Chapter 16, Go Home and Sue. Danzo has a good idea. Unfortunately, he overestimated Wood style's appeal to Chiba. At the same time, I also underestimated Chiba's own ability. With style, Danzo didn't even understand it, so he dared to make a big deal for Chiba. If Chiba didn't know the plot, he might have been bluffed. Also, Danzo seems to have misunderstood something about Senju Hashirama. What is really awesome is never with style, but Senju Hashirama, his sage body, his Ashura reincarnation chakra, yin yang done. With style is nothing more than a blood succession boundary. Yamato's technique of 2 bedrooms and 1 living room is the strength and belonging of the original wood style. It's just that Senju Hashirama used it, making everyone mistakenly think that wood style is awesome. Moreover, if you really want to get wood style, Chiba can completely improve himself based on the wood style ninjutsu left by the Senju family. Coupled with his semi-sage body, which is very friendly to natural energy, this huge vitality reproduces the glory of Senju Hashirama is no joke. Unfortunately, Chiba's knowledge of ninjutsu is not enough. Right now, Chiba is good at human body knowledge. After all, he has studied medical knowledge with Tsunade for 3 years. Learning is endless and needs to continue. At the same time, the road to changing the world is endless and still requires hard work. Let's go, Itachi, it's time to go home. Chiba smiled and let out a breath. Itachi took a look. He always felt a smirk on Chiba's expression. Mr. Chiba, do you have something to do when you go home? Certainly. What to do? Report. Chiba calmly said something that surprised Itachi. What's so surprising? I'm still a child. I was bullied and threatened outside, so I have to go home and sue. Okay, stop talking, Itachi. See you tomorrow. After speaking, Chiba walked away directly. The ferret was left in a mess in the wind, unable to calm down for a long time. Complaining is really inconsistent with his understanding of Chiba, but it would make sense if it was a character design at school. It's just to sue who to sue. The next moment, Itachi reacted. Won the Konoha Sannin, Tsunade-sama. The next day, Konoha's sun rose as usual. In Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen lit a pipe, took a deep breath, and exhaled slowly. The office was filled with smoke. He watched the battle report from the front line, and his frown gradually relaxed. Get better. The third ninja war broke out very quickly. Konoha needs to face the pincer attack of Cloud Shinobi, Rock Shinobi, and Fog Shadow, and the front line is not without tension. On the one hand, Konoha is actually not short of people. There are 2 Sannin in the village. Namikaze Minato is rising strongly, and there's an Uchiha family. Although Konoha is weakening day by day, a lean camel is bigger than a horse after all. This kind of configuration, placed in the entire ninja world, is still very capable of fighting. However, on the other hand, Konoha is very short of people. Jiraiya has run out of the village. Tsunade is disheartened and does not care about world affairs, and on the surface, Sannin has 2 people who cannot be used. At the same time, some people, Sarutobi Hiruzen, dare not mess with it. The Hokage dispute between Orochimaru and Namikaze Minato is destined to be hidden by Orochimaru. Sarutobi Hiruzen could only let Namikaze Minato top the front line alone, Alexander. As for the Hokage dispute, in fact, in addition to Orochimaru and Namikaze Minato, Uchiha Fugaku is also one of the candidates. It's just that it's just the voice of the people. After all, Uchiha's fists and record are there and cannot be ignored. Therefore, in order not to overwhelm Uchiha's achievements, let them go to the foggy front where the pressure is the least. And Hyuga was very obedient, so he was dispatched to the most intense Cloud Shinobi front line. Even if he tried his life, he had to plug the holes in the front line and block Cloud Shinobi outside the border. Externally, you only need to be wise and protect yourself. Internally, you need to master the technique of checks and balances. This is Sarutobi Hiruzen speaking from decades of experience as a Hokage. Hokage is not only about governing the village, but also about weighing technique. And Namikaze Minato's victory in the Battle of Canopy Bridge, which came from the front line, can even influence the outcome of the war with Rock Shinobi. As for the death of an Uchiha boy in this mission, that's all harmless. Sarutobi Hiruzen doesn't care. Of course, the award of the Hero Medal is also a necessary reward and comfort. As for the more substantive stuff, what? What more substantial thing does Uchiha want? I'm afraid I didn't wake up. Sarutobi Hiruzen breathed a sigh of relief, closed the battle report on the front line, and went to the window. He likes to stand here and look out, because here you can look at the entire Konoha, giving him a feeling of holding Konoha in his hands. Another day of peace. Boom! A huge crackling sound directly interrupted Sarutobi Hiruzen's exclamation. The door of Hokage's office was violently opened. A man rushed in aggressively. Seeing someone coming, Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart skipped a beat, and he knew something was going to happen. Tsunade, this is Hokage's office. What's wrong with you? Do you still have my teacher in your heart? By the count, Sarutobi Hiruzen hadn't seen Tsunade for a long time. With the deaths of Nawaki and Kato Dan, Tsunade was already hit, and the decline of the Senju clan became the last straw that crushed Tsunade. Let her be completely disheartened, not interested in the ninja world, and completely ignore the world. Now, in such a hurry, it's not normal to rush over with a look of asking questions. Teacher, snort. Tsunade snorted coldly. The veins on her forehead popped out. It could be seen that she was quite annoyed. She didn't give Sarutobi Hiruzen any face. She just yelled. I want to ask you, do you still have me as a student in your heart? You Hokage, do you still have our Senju clan in your heart? Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression darkened, and he couldn't help but speak. Tsunade, there are some words, don't talk nonsense. Nonsense. All the ninjas from Roots have come to our Senju family. In Konoha, the only remaining member of the Senju clan, the future patriarch of the Senju clan, was actually being watched and attacked. Tsunade spoke every word, as if hitting Sarutobi Hiruzen in the face. Hokage, you are Hokage. How did you become this Hokage? Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face completely darkened. Danzo, Chapter 17, Master Danzo. Hokage is welcome. No one can deny the power of Senju Hashirama. Danzo thought that no one could refuse the chip he offered. After all, that was the ninja god who once suppressed the entire ninja world. Thinking of this, Danzo is in his root headquarters. The old god is drinking coffee very leisurely. Certainly, the so-called power of Senju Hashirama is nothing more than an empty promise he made. However, this is not important. As long as Chiba can join the root department, who cares about this check? Based on Danzo's understanding of the Senju clan, Chiba's chakra and physique, he will definitely be a terrifying character in the future. And such a character must be under his own hands. At the same time, Danzo is still thinking that the real wood style may really be reproduced on Chiba. Prior to this, the wood style experiment had been failing because ordinary people could not withstand the power of Senju Hashirama's cells. However, Chiba is not only physically strong, but also comes from the same source as Senju Hashirama. As a wood style experimental body, it is unmatched by everyone else. Thinking of this, Danzo couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. He seems to have seen the wood style experiment succeed. And finally, he gets a scene with Senju Hashirama's strength. At that time, punching Konoha and stepping on Sarutobi Hiruzen is not a dream at all. Ha ha ha, Danzo suddenly burst out laughing, making the ninjas at root confused at the moment, so they all looked at each other, not knowing what his boss was giggling at. Then, at this moment, 3 unexpected guests came to the Jin headquarters. Master Danzo, Hokage is welcome. Seeing this, Danzo froze for a moment. Umbu, what kind of wind is blowing today? That old fellow Sarutobi Hiruzen invited himself over. Danzo touched his chin, a little uncertain about the purpose of Sarutobi Hiruzen's trip. What's up with Hiruzen? Hearing this, Umbu just shook his head. I don't know, Mr. Danzo. You will know when you go. For some reason, Danzo had a bad premonition in his heart. He nodded and followed Umbu to Hokage's office. When he came to the door, Danzo didn't hesitate. He just pushed the door open and entered. Hiruzen, don't you know I'm busy these days? What's the matter? You need me personally? Before Danzo could finish his sentence, a huge fist hit him on the head. Boom! The next moment, Danzo was directly sent flying from the front, hit the wall fiercely, and was immediately beaten to the ground. At this moment, Danzo people are stupid. Who dare to attack the old man? Danzo clutched his bloody forehead furiously, stood up from the ruins of the wall, and wanted to find the culprit. It turned out that Tsunade's eyes met. At this moment, Tsunade was so angry that the veins on his forehead popped out. Obviously suffering from hemophobia, facing the blood from Danzo, he forcibly suppressed the fear in his heart. Tsunade! Danzo frowned and suddenly felt that something was wrong. In an instant, Danzo almost reacted. Find out about Chiba by yourself. Was it exposed? Who is it? Danzo immediately set his sights on Sarutobi Hiruzen in the distance. But Sarutobi Hiruzen also showed a resentful expression. No, that expression doesn't look like a fake. Not him. It's Chiba. Grass. Danzo people who think of this crop are stupid. That's right, it can only be him. Danzo never expected that Chiba, with his thick eyebrows and big eyes, would go back and sue. Not to mention that there is no one in the Senju family now, and Danzo doesn't pay attention to it. If it weren't for this, he would have almost forgotten about Tsunade. Furthermore, geniuses have their own arrogance. Let me ask, which genius would go home and file a complaint without even trying to solve it? But Danzo thought about it in a blink of an eye, and it seemed quite reasonable. Chiba is indeed a genius enough, but he is only 6 years old, as Sarutobi Hiruzen said. After all, he is only 6 years old, so he hasn't put so much thought into it yet. Ahem. Tsunade, it's almost ready. Danzo coughed twice, spat out a mouthful of blood, and got up from the ground in disgrace. I didn't do anything to Chiba. It's all a misunderstanding. Misunderstand. You sent 3 root ninjas to spy on and attack Chiba. He's still a 6-year-old. Are you FG human? After speaking, Tsunade raised his fist and threw it at Danzo again. Seeing this, the Danzo people were frightened and stupid and quickly raised their hands to resist. Boom! With a bang, Danzo, who just got up, was beaten down by Tsunade again. Tsunade took a look at the blood and was a little dizzy, but the anger in her heart drove her to face it all. At this moment, Danzo is suffering in his heart. He is suffering and cannot tell. He really didn't send anyone to attack Chiba. Just let him meet with himself. Moreover, he went there by himself at that time, thinking that if his subordinates did not invite him, he would show up and show a little sincerity. In the end, he didn't expect Chiba to kill his subordinates with 3 strikes, 5 cuts, and 2 cuts. It's good now. Not only did his subordinates get killed, but now he's in control of Tsunade. Tsunade, I'll say it again. I really didn't do anything to Chiba. Instead, he killed 3 of my subordinates. I still didn't ask him to settle the score. He didn't dare to say the above sentence. Now that Tsunade is angry, Danzo thinks it's better not to continue to provoke Tsunade delicately. Anyway, what a misunderstanding. I just want to invite him to join my root department. Chapter 18. The Blame King Danzo. At this moment, Danzo was lying on the ground, and Tsunade was standing in front of him, pumping his fists as if he was going to hit him at any moment. Although Danzo wanted to resist, he didn't care about this matter. If he really wanted to resist, Tsunade would prey on him. To beat. Just bear it and it will pass. After all, forbearance is what Danzo is best at. He gritted his teeth. Seeing Tsunade's reluctance, Danzo looked annoyed. Lousy can bear to be a teenager. Hiruzen, why can't you just say a few words when you're next to me? Just looking there? Danzo shot Sarutobi Hiruzen a look. However, different from Sarutobi Hiruzen's angry expression just now, the look in his eyes this time seems a bit intriguing. Danzo even read a hint of seeking good fortune. Hiruzen? What do you mean? Danzo cried out inwardly. But I went to find Chiba in private once, and made me so reluctant. Tsunade. Okay. Chiba didn't suffer any harm. Not only did I lose 3 of my subordinates, I was also beaten up by you. That's it. He also doesn't intend to let Sarutobi Hiruzen be the peacemaker, but talks with Tsunade himself. However, with Tsunade's annoyed expression, it seemed that he didn't intend to let this matter pass by at all. Tsunade, are you going too far? No matter how I say it. I'm also Konoha's Hokage assistant. If you continue to offend me like this, don't blame me for being rude. However, Tsunade was even more annoyed to hear this. She directly grabbed Danzo's collar, glared at him fiercely, and couldn't help but speak. Let's not talk about Chiba. Come and explain to me. What's up with that with style? Say this once. Danzo froze for a moment. Immediately, I felt a cold sweat on my back. Grass. He forgot about it. With style, he showed with style in front of Chiba. At this moment, Danzo reacted. No wonder Tsunade was so irritable today, and Sarutobi Hiruzen, standing aside, didn't even fart, because he also has a part in wood style. At that time, both of them were envious of Senju Hashiroma's wood style, so they used his body to study the blood succession boundary that suppressed the ninja world. It was only later that Sarutobi Hiruzen ordered the prohibition of wood style research, because he couldn't figure it out and was too cruel. So, Sarutobi Hiruzen, the old man, is he going to let Lousy take the blame again? At this moment, Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen. This time, he saw other meanings from Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes. Danzo's heart was roaring, hysterical. I feel aggrieved in my heart. He felt betrayed. Again, he once again takes the blame for Sarutobi Hiruzen. That's why Danzo wants to be Hokage so much. Because only by becoming a Hokage can you stand the sun and be the one who throws the blame away. What? Danzo, don't you have anything to say? Seeing Danzo's constantly changing expression, Tsunade was even more annoyed. He slapped Danzo directly on the face, causing Danzo to almost fall from the window. I feel disgusted when I see your face now. After a while, Danzo got up from the ground, very embarrassed. Tsunade, wood style has nothing to do with first generation. This is a kid who knows wood style that I happened to find in the village, so I took it as my root. Danzo gritted his teeth and explained. Tsunade, on the other hand, just looked at him coldly. Then what did you tell Chiba? You said you could make Chiba have the same power as Grandpa. Me. The corner of Danzo's mouth twitched, and he stammered. That's what I cheated on him, just to let him join my root department. Because I think he is extremely talented, and I want to train him with good intentions. Hearing this, Tsunade didn't say a word, and stared at Danzo coldly, which made Danzo's whole body tremble. Really, if you don't believe me, ask Hiruzen. I ask you a bubble teapot. In the distance, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face darkened, and he began to scold his mother in his heart. However, he still had to put on an earnest look. I can testify to this. Although Danzo has indeed done some bad things, but he must be full of awe towards first generation, and he will never do such a treacherous thing. Hearing this, Tsunade looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, then at Danzo, and after a long time, he heard a cold voice. It's better to be like this. Today is just to teach you a little lesson. It's best not to let me find out what you did to Grandpa's body. Otherwise, I'll let you go around. Also, Danzo, stay away from Chiba UBD. Are you kind enough to cultivate? Are you using your cruel bullshit curse seal? Put your tricks away. As long as I'm still in Konoha, Chiba will be safe for me. Anyway, he's the only one left in the Senju clan now. You better not push me into a hurry. After finishing speaking, Tsunade dropped Danzo directly, turned and left without even looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen. After a while, Danzo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen very dissatisfied, and said in a cold voice, Hiruzen, look at what you taught. Danzo, I told you earlier, don't mess with style. I didn't expect you to be so wicked. Grass. What the hell? Danzo was about to explode. Not only was he beaten up by Tsunade and lost all face, but now Sarutobi Hiruzen yelled at him in turn, and he didn't even finish his sentence. Hiruzen, you know what you have done, even if I took the blame for you. But there are some things that people are doing and God is watching. Didn't you realize that what Tsunade said just now was not but whether it's about the Senju clan, the first generation, or even the Nawaki, she probably knows something, but there is no conclusive evidence. Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was extremely gloomy after being exposed. It's useless to say this now. Danzo, I warn you again, stop. That Chiba, don't touch it with style experiment. Stop immediately. Stop being stubborn. You stop now. I can pretend that nothing happened. Sarutobi Hiruzen naturally knows Danzo's words. Tsunade is no fool either. There are so many things happening to the Senju clan. Even a fool can see something strange. It's just that the Senju clan was wiped out without bloodshed, which made it impossible for Tsunade to start.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.